things that I think are important for every immigrant family to be aware of when it comes to taking care of their kids. The basic understanding used to that we are not aware that. So I'd like us to just quickly, without wasting further time, go into these 5 things. One of them, top of my list, is physically beating a child, you know. So this is where sometimes you'll be like, oh, there's an African way of raising a child. But unfortunately, or fortunately, here in this part of the world, it is just not acceptable. I know that most of the time we see it as a form of discipline. Some of us wonder, some people wonder, so how are we expected to discipline this child? How are we expected to, you know, put into them or create in them a culture of respect, a culture of this and that? There are other different ways, that you can also install or instill discipline in a child. But this is not for me to start explaining to you in this video. The point of this video is to highlight some of the things that you do that might be a form of abuse that can also get you in some form of referral process, right? You can, I mean, it's not even for me to say this is right or this is wrong. I'm just trying to tell you, man. Okay. So yes, physically beating a child is not okay. Some people might feel, oh, I can beat him when we're in the house, and when we're outside of the house, then I won't beat him. No, your child can go to school and tell the people at school that you beat him at home. Your intentions, be it good or bad, it's going to turn around and haunt you if at the end of the day you realize that people are looking at you like you're abusing your child. Sometimes prevention is better than cure. So that's it about physically hitting a child. There are a whole number of things around that or surrounding it, where you can talk about you're not really physically hitting a child, but you're verbally abusing this child. So I think that's going to be my number 2, verbal abuse. Using your voice to intimidate, not intimidate, is a form of abuse, is a form of psychological, emotional abuse. Because you're going to, at the end of the day, find out that your child feels intimidated. When they're intimidated at home, they sort of carry it along, at school and different areas. So this is a form of emotional abuse as well that I feel like people also have to take note of. So yes, that's it for number 2. Number 3, picking up your children late from school is a form of neglect if it keeps. Now, I don't want you to laugh. I understand, all of us understand, right? That sometimes being the only ones in the country, being you probably don't really have friends, you probably don't have family, you need to get this done, you need to get that done. But this is not really why we're here. We're talking about how do they perceive these things, the environment you're in, how does it come across, how do our actions, come across to them. That's the point. So when you constantly forget your children at school or you run late at school, probably where you come from, you feel like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's not just 20 minutes late. It's not just 30 minutes late. It doesn't kill anybody. I'll be there very soon. And this becomes a norm for you. It's going to raise eyebrows. It's going to make people question, you know, your parents, and it's going to make people look at you like, is this child really safe in your hands? Are you struggling to take care of this child? Sometimes, really, it's not really about people thinking that you're abusing this child. Remember, sometimes it's about people thinking that you're probably too busy, you're probably really, really struggling so much that now you're neglecting this child. You see how that comes in, the neglect part of it. So people don't necessarily have to feel like you're abusing your child to refer you to social services or to think that something, this child is not really being well taken care of. They can also feel like, oh, there's a form of neglect going on, and then they would refer. They might feel like, oh, you're just too stressed, you're really in a position where you're not coping much. And this child, if you're not coping, then it means you're not taking good care of this child. and they refer to social services. Let's go on to number four. The fourth thing I want to talk about is leaving your children at home. Huh? No, 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 please. Please don't do that. Don't try that. You know that voice that will tell you, hey, let me just rush to co-op. It's just 1 minute away. Or let me just trek to this shop. It's just 2 minutes walk away and the children are sleeping. Mba. Say, get behind me to that voice. Please don't do it. This is like recipe for catastrophe. Recipe because you can just step out, right? And the child is like, and the child suddenly wakes up. Let's assume the child is able to open the doors. Child is looking all over for you without finding you. What do you think would happen? Or wait, are you going to lock the child in from outside or what? How do you plan on doing it? I mean, most of these doors, it's not like they have padlock or anything. Lock it from outside, you can still open it from inside. So what exactly? Please don't do that. And aside from that, apart from that, it's actually not even safe for the child. If you have children, children can be so spontaneous. Children can be so unreasonable sometimes, but they're just being children. You can't think, don't even try thinking that, oh, this child has been trained, they're now mature. They cannot be more mature than they should be. Sometimes that thing will still enter their head. So you just can't, please don't take that chance. Don't do it. Right? Now, let's not draw much on that. So, number five on the list is not taking your child to see the doctor when they obviously are unwell and require doctor's review. So sometimes, I mean, when you can, as much as you can, be very intentional about these things. Have a GP. I hope this is me just assuming that your child has been registered to a GP, right? Because this is like the basic thing. Once you come into the country, once you move into a new place, find the hospital, locate where the hospital is, know how to contact emergency services just in case you need those things, right? So know those things like you know your name. That's just what you need to do. Get your children registered into a GP practice. Once they're unwell, once you're concerned about them, give them a call, ask them, check them out. These are things that show, yes, you're really interested in this child's health, you're interested in this child's welfare, and you're not abusing this child by neglecting this child. You see, that's also where the neglect thing comes in as well. So yes, guys. Also, let's quickly mention that there are dentists or dental services available for children, and it's expected as well that your children are registered with a dental clinic. For the NHS, I believe it's free. It's free, right? So get your children registered and get them, let them have dental checkups. These are things that, as people that are settled here, you know, or people that live here, these are things that are expected, at least the basic things that are free that they should actually have. So yes, get them checked up. And also, should I mention that if your child now has to go to the hospital every single Unko or Eke day, right? So like 10 times a month, 100 times a month, they're in the clinic, they're in the hospital because of one thing or the other. It's also something that, except they have a very chronic illness, that's understandable. So it's going to give the impression that you're not taking good care of this child, right? So I feel like the expectation is that you hover over your child like a hawk, like you sort of be their guardian angel, you be the one that is there to at least keep them safe to the best of your ability. So at the end of the day, is do what's best for your child, take good care of your child, you know, and yeah, that's essentially it for that. So yes, guys, these are the things I was hoping for us to talk about, and it's important for us to know that this list is not exhaustive. In fact, we've just scratched the surface, right? We've not even gone deep into anything. So if you want more, you can actually read more about it, ask questions, look at people that have been around, and just interact with others, and you'd know better. We've not even talked about alcohol, your child mentioning that your underaged child mentioning that they take alcohol. Guinea, what are you saying? It's enough for a referral to be done. So there are just many things that we have to be really careful about, guys, right? And yeah, I just thought to bring these things to us. Yes, guys, that's it. I hope that's not a lot, you know. But one thing I've actually noted is that sometimes with this parenting journey, it sort of highlights also our areas of weakness, our deficiencies as parents, you know. Because sometimes we as parents, we just want to enforce things because we feel like, oh, we're in a position where we can. And it gives bullying sometimes. So it actually does, you know, highlight our deficiencies. We want to teach our children patience, you know, we want to teach our children tolerance. We have to learn how to be that for our children as well. But sometimes I know that, you know, things can be really hard. And sometimes we just struggle with things as well, even as parents. It's so important that we as parents, you know, we try and read books, learn skills that can help us in our parenting journey. Because sometimes the only thing we know is to exert power or authority because we can. But now we just have to learn how to negotiate. We have to learn how to influence, you know. Influencing our children, we have to learn how to actually, you know, live out what we want them to be, or, you know, if we want them to be kind, live out that kindness. If we want them to be tolerant, live out that tolerance, you know. There's a place for discipline, definitely. So I think there's also a place for us to go back and look at ways of disciplining children. Since we cannot physically, you know, beat them or something, then think of alternative ways. I mean, sometimes we don't like to go back and start doing things. I guess this is time for us to do that now. There is no perfection in anything, I guess, but in those loopholes, that's also where God comes in and shows up for us, right? I hope we've learned something from this today, guys. Thank you so much. If you have been here up to this point, then you're the real MVP. I really appreciate you. Okay, thank you so much, guys. And yes, so having said that, guys, I mean, I know that it's just not easy. It's not easy. And once I want you to know that this is not me saying, oh, do this. Once you've done this, you no. I understand that you can even be as upright as you can be. You can do your best. Still, somehow, sometimes trouble just, you know, trouble just happens. Things just happen, right? And when these things happen, just know that if you're a Christian, God has got you. If you believe, just keep praying. And that's actually the essence of prayer. That's where prayer comes in. We can't just be too careful. There are many things that are out of our control. There are just many things that, I mean, you can just sleep and wake up and you'll be like, what? When did this happen? There are things you hear about yourself, like, when did I do that? And things can just come together and create this picture, and you'll be like, oh dear, I didn't know that about myself, you see. So I feel like that is also where prayer comes in. We can only do the best we can as humans, but personally, I just like to believe that God will take control of the rest. Every other thing that, you know, I just cannot. There are many things I cannot influence as a person, right? So I trust God for every other aspect of my life. So finally, guys, I understand that this country can be a whole lot. I hope that you, your husband, your wife, your children, people have not forgotten that it's actually you lot against the world. So please don't even let anything create this vibe, you know, where you're fighting against yourselves, where you should be working together, you know, and trusting God to help for every other thing. Okay? Let love lead, guys. Let love lead. Amen. I love you guys so much, and thank you so much for tuning into my channel. I hope it's not been a wasted time for you. And if you've enjoyed this, if you've, you know, gained anything from it, I'm just hoping that you can share this with someone that needs it, someone that would really appreciate it, you know, and yeah, let things keep going. Please like, share, subscribe if you've not. I really would appreciate your subscription, okay? Thank you so much, guys, and see you some other time. Bye.